How's the Macmillan studio doing?
The what?
The Macmillan studio?
It was a bloody mess.
Was it all because it blocked up?
I call to order the regular meeting of the East Haddam Inland Wetlands and Watercourses Commission on this Tuesday, October 16th, 2018 at 7:30 p.m. Jim, would you kindly call attendance?
Randolph Dill,
Here.
Mary Augustini,
Here.
Brian Goff, absent. Daniel Jane. Here. Jennifer Burton Reed.
Here.
Thank you. Minutes of our last meeting, which was September 18th. I had two things. Page 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, fifth paragraph down. Third line down that starts out, will not know for sure until they, I think it meant to say begin digging rather than being digging. And on the last page, 5, under Conservation Commission input, didn't identify who gave the report, but that was Rob Smith, who was sitting in for Todd. So we should list Rob Smith as giving that report. That's all I had.
All I have was the adjournment, next line down, that it was Brian who did the motion and not Randy.
Anything else?
Accept the minutes as amended.
Thank you.
Second?
Second. Any further discussion? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Thank you. I had no bills in my
No
package. God, we're saving money this year. Field inspection report, there was no field inspection this month, so we can move on to wetlands permit review. Item A, continued application W18-22, 2 Lois Lane, Robert Bruce Jr. for the construction of a driveway in the upland review area, Assessor's Map 80, Lot 463.
They hired Charlie Dutch to do a site plan for them for the single-family home in the driveway. Revised plans have not been brought to the office. I did email Mr. Dutch and said that it's on the agenda and that the last date is November 21st. And that either, we need to go out and do a field inspection with the plans, or he could withdraw the application, resubmit it later, or ask for an extension. I didn't get a response from that because I think he's in discussion with the property owner, because I don't think the property owner really knows where he wants to situate the house. So most likely this will be a withdrawal.
Okay.
Kind of need to know where you're going to place things.
All right, since we've got till November 21st, I'll move that we continue this to the next meeting.
Second?
A motion and a second. Any discussion? Not all in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Item B, continued application W18-23, 21 Mount Parnassus Road, Shagbark Lumber and Farm Supply, for the construction of a 40 by 100-foot commercial building and porch in the upland review area, and to relocate the driveway on the east side of the property in the upland review area. Assessor's Map 27, Lot 91. Thank you.
Thank you.
This is the overall plan that was approved in 2005 for Jaguar. Mount Parnassus 82. This is these are front buildings, retail, and there's some lumberyard buildings in the back. And at that time, there was going to be an 8,000 square foot addition over in this area. Now we're back, and the plan is it will not be an 8,000 square foot footprint, it'll be about half of that, it'll be about 4,000 square feet. It's going to be 1:20 scale. So again, here's the shag bark retail, that's the kitchen counter part of the business. And this shaded rectangle, that's what we're proposing for a building. It's 45 by
90.
45 by 90. It was 40 by 100, it's 45 by 90. So what we did is the shaded area or wetlands that had been previously identified. This is the east entrance into Shag Bar. So basically we went from east to west and held the existing edge of that driveway that's there now. And the reason was it would stay away from the wetlands at least as much as it is now. And we wouldn't have to do anything with an existing culvert that drains this east-west wetland, the wetland that's parallel to Mount Parnassus. And right now it's piped under the parking lot and discharges here, and that's the inlet. So we wouldn't have to do anything with that culverting. That would stay intact. And even the two poles that were put up as part of the solar farm, which are here and here, all of that does not need to be disturbed. But in order to do that and maintain a minimum of 24 foot wide for two-way traffic in and out, we got to change the footprint of the building. The 100 foot length was just too long. It would push this off the edge of the driveway. We'd have to do something with the culvert. It would be right on the edge of the wetland. So we went to 45 by 90, which is, it'll have the same kind of an overhang porch that the existing building does. And the guard shack, give you an idea where the end of this building would be, pretty much a couple of feet beyond the edge of the guard shack. So the guard shack would be totally within this footprint. That's what this light rectangle is. That would be shifted to behind the building. And then all of this, which is, right now this is used for product display, and this, I think, where they have their various paving products.
And mulches, and,
installations
yeah,
put in.
mulches and stuff like that too.
So that'll be removed and parking will be put in there. And the septic system, taken out, the wells up in front here. Septic system will be taken out the back. And ideally, and we're not sure yet about the grading, but if we could go from a septic tank and gravity flow into an existing pump chamber, that would be the ideal solution. I guess it was 3 or 4 years ago, Shag Bark did a repair for the facilities for the septic. Put a 1,250 gallon septic tank and a 2,000 gallon pump chamber. That got piped by force main up to the north. And it's off the sheet here, but it crossed the wetland. I don't know if most of you were here for the wetland permit for that. And then it was pumped up to a field, that grass field is there. But I think I explained last time that just the way things work, if you don't have water meter readings, you're stuck with the state health department unit flows, which are extremely conservative. They recognize that, and if you can produce a year's worth of water meter readings, come up with an average daily water use, and you increase it by 1.5 for peak factor, they will let you use that for design. So they're using, this is over a year's worth of readings, they're using about 200 gallons a day. So if you peak that times 1.5, that's 300 gallons a day. The system was designed using the state figures at around 1,100 gallons a day, so there's a huge amount of capacity there. And we didn't oversize it. That's the minimum. Those are the numbers you have to design to, but this is not unusual. I think every time in my experience, we look at water meter readings, you can guarantee even peak they're going to be below the state figure. So bottom line is there's 800 gallon capacity left in that field up there. And if this is a 4,000 square foot building, and we use the state figures, which already showed are conservative, 1/10 of a gallon per square foot, that's 400 gallons. So even if this were hooked up to that system, it still would be oversized by about 400 gallons. So that's our hope. We need a central system exception from the state to allow two buildings, detached buildings, to be hooked up to the same system, but they have traditionally considered that. And if that's the case, then there's no further involvement within the upland review zone, because all this work will be outside of it. And if they don't allow that, then this will have to have its own system, which means a tank, a pump, and expanding the system up top there. And pretty sure, at least it was on the plan and instructed that when we did the crossing with the force main, we put a spare in.
So you'd have to have another line that goes up to the system?
If the state does not allow the two buildings on one, but I'm pretty sure they will, because that's been the track record, but you still, it's not specifically guaranteed in the code. But in a worst case scenario, if we had to do that, we've got a spare force main that was put in anticipation, at least within the crossing of the wetland. So hopefully we won't have to use that.
The question I have real quick, if that were to occur, would they have to, if we were to act on this now, would they have to come back to us for that crossing again and whatever work that has to be done?
This goes through special exception next, right?
Right.
And that's a referral from
Wetlands, so.
the
Yeah,
answer.
the truth is I'm 98% sure they're gonna grant the variance to use the same thing.
Yeah, that'd be best.
Yeah, they unless there was some reason, and since they're so close to each other, I just can't see them not.
And this isn't for public use, really, it's just for employees, pretty much.
There's a
I don't-
public
you know,
restroom there.
I don't remember if Shagbark has it.
They have a public restroom.
Yeah, I don't think many people know that or use it, but the meters would have reflected that use.
Mhm.
And again, if it went the other way, we would have to have that, excuse me, nailed down at the time of the special exception, which means the plan would reflect that. We'd also need to produce a letter review from the wetland agency, so you wouldn't see it again.
Okay.
Is the parking in front of the new building, is that just striping an existing condition? Basically, they're removing what they're storing now and just sort of striping it? Or is
Pretty
there
much.
expansion of the gravel surface or anything?
No, that's all, that's hard to see, because right now what they've got is product, and they've got their sample paving sections, like they sell different kind of pavers. And they've got sections where they show how that would look, so they've got demonstration areas. So-
Yeah, display.
And I think, I don't see any grade changes.
But there's no like alignment to get in off Mount Parnassus Road to get into that new section? Is that sort of that box shape, is that all existing?
Yeah, this is all existing. We would use
Yeah.
the same entranceway, because otherwise we'd have to go to DOT and get a modification. And I guess you're asking, why is this dark?
Yeah, is that just existing two-lane, with the exception of moving the guard shack, it's pretty much
Yeah,
as is?
I think, I wasn't sure if this exactly coincided with what's there now. This does, because we're holding this edge, and I'm pretty sure this does.
Doesn't that suggest pavement consistent with the rest of the parking lot?
Somewhere around the guard shack, the pavement stops, and when you go in
Okay.
back, it becomes.
Yeah, I
crossing.
can remember.
Yeah, if I remember correctly, because they have a lot of stone and product in front of the existing guard shack now. And then to the, if you're looking at this photograph, all their display is to the left there.
Yeah.
But pretty much on everything that I've seen is either gravel or paved already under there.
Yeah, I mean, I'm thinking back before they used that, as they use it now, it seemed like it was all processed.
Yeah.
So if I heard you correctly, based on making the building smaller, shorter in length, that there's going to be really no change to that area right adjacent to the wetland boundaries. So in other words, the driveway doesn't have to be widened, it stays the same. So really, for our purposes, the only thing that changes is the fact that there's a building going in there.
That's fair to say,
Is
yes.
that get it? So I'm wondering if we even need to go out and look at this. 'Cause we had,
The previous plan was gonna call for changing a culvert,
Yeah,
filling wetlands,
yeah,
moving things.
and moving things around. This is much more conservative.
Todd?
I have a question, that's a big roof, and where's that water gonna go off the roof?
Well, right now, there's gutters on this building. They're piped under the parking lot. I suspect they connect to this drain, something similar. We have gutters, downspouts that are piped into this drain, which discharges to this wetland on the north side of the building.
Yeah, I have a building about the same size roof, and it's a tremendous amount of water. And it's gonna, if there's no place for it to go, it's gonna saturate the ground there. Even in a moderate rain, doesn't have to be heavy.
I think that's the treatment that they used here, and I don't recall there's any issues in the parking lot here, so the fact that it's piped, I mean, if we just tried to dump it on the surface, I think
Big problem.
that's right, it'd be a big problem.
You probably don't know if you're going to be able to connect to the existing system to run the water.
Is it septic or what?
No, the roof.
Roof
line.
drains.
Line.
I don't know, I can't tell you 100%, but it's so flat out there, and if this building could do it, then I don't see why we couldn't do it with the new building. Grade, see how much of a grade change from here to here?
No, what I'm getting at, Roger, is maybe I misheard you, but the existing buildings have have gutters
Yes.
that go down into drains
Yes.
under the parking lot. Do you know if you can connect to that system with this new building so that all that water is collected in
From a volume standpoint or a grade?
volume or just being able to connect to it?
I don't know that. We'll find out about that. But why I think we can is, again, this is, you see the contours here. This is pretty much dead flat.
Yeah.
So if they could connect to it, we should be able, if this building can, am I missing something? I mean,
Yeah, but
that's
you're
my
not
logic.
gonna connect to the existing, you'd put new pipes to this swale.
We would, let's just say there's a downspout here and a downspout here. My guess is we'd hook into the pipe right here.
Okay, all right.
That
Okay.
would be the plan. Now, if that didn't work, then we'd have to come and probably put a culvert in here. But again, this is where that culvert runs. So,
Okay, just what I was getting at is, I mean, if you were going to try to keep it within the same system that exists, so you didn't have to do any other digging of the driveway or the parking lot, but it doesn't really matter to me as long as you take care of it. So it sounds like you,
I'll have an answer for you then once we get look at the inverts on that pipe.
okay.
And if we need to do something different, then
Do you know what the hope is for a construction schedule on this?
yeah, they would like to have all their permits in place, so when the weather breaks next year, whether it's March or April, they would start
Okay.
construction.
Okay. Any other questions? So, getting back to my point, do we need to go out there? It sounds like maybe we need to wait for some more information, so it's going to take us to the next meeting anyway.
Will you have the answer by the next meeting as to whether or not the health department's gonna make you tie into the existing leach field?
It takes about 2 or 3 weeks to get that. I'm confident, as you are, that we
Yeah,
will,
it's-
based on all the
this
previous history we've had with them. on several
If this is situated way back and it was a long run, they'd say no, but when they're close to like this, it's almost standard operating procedure.
I mean, just to take you back to 382 Town Street with Bob Kastner, we got permission to put 3 detached buildings on the same system. They're all commercial retail, so I mean, it's almost identical So I have high confidence, but I won't have the paperwork.
Any thoughts about going out?
I don't see why we need to go out, because our concern really was the driveway in the building closer to the wetland. I would say that if we approved it, that we could condition that if the health department determines that the sewage disposal changes, that they come back to us. Otherwise, I mean, they have the whole winter anyway to.
Right. Yeah, you okay with that? All right. I'll make a motion, unless there are any other questions. Sorry.
No.
So you want me to make a motion?
Please.
Okay. I move that we approve the application of Shadbark Lumber and Supply to construct, this was a 40 by 90, right?
45.
45 by 90.
45 by 90. Building and porch in the upland review area, and so we don't have to relocate the driveway. On the east side of the property, Assessor's Map 27, Lot 91, with the plan submitted, approved on 10/16/2018, with the condition that should the health department demand a separate septic hookup to the new building, that the applicant come back.
Second?
A motion second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And just for the record, it's Roger Nemergut representing the owner. Enforcement officers report.
This, the past 2 weeks, I've never done more giving people stormwater, drainage areas as to why their yard blew out, why their driveway's a mess, and everything else. Been working with Public Works on a lot, there's been a lot of damage. And I think I've got to confirm with Beth, but on the biggest one, I think they're gonna hire a firm to design that system to replace that at Neptune Avenue. But there's a lot, Robbie Road, Eli Chapman, not Eli Chapman, Joe Williams Road, those pipes, all of these pipes, even though it looks okay on top, they had so much scour on the upstream side that it's dug underneath. And you'll see a lot of places where new stone was laid on the sides just to shore up. Daniels Road, another one. There's just a whole slew of them, along with the ones that are closed right now. The dirt roads took a pounding. Hemlock Valley Road took a pounding. The Hop Yard Road culvert did. So a lot of that. I handed Randy before a meeting a complaint from a property owner that lives on the bottom of Landing Hill Road about 135 Creek Row, and really it's a planning and zoning issue. He wants me to investigate if the construction's caused this problem, so I'm gonna go and look at the site tomorrow. Pull out the stormwater calculations and everything else out to it, give it to him, but I think the reality is this is a site that's flooded out many, many times before. And people have reported 8 inches of rain in a 12-hour period. Too bad Roger was here. He says in a 24-hour period, 8 inches of rain is the 100-year storm. So, what's it? When I left here from the planning and zoning meeting, I got a text that, Neptune Avenue blew out. And I said, oh, you gotta be kidding me. And when I got to my house, I was pulling equipment out, the boat out, everything out because it was underwater. And I was there in 82, and that river was at its second highest level that I've ever seen it. The only time higher was 82. I don't know if you know my basketball court in the back there? There was 3.5 feet of water back there. If Joe Montgomery lived in that house back there like he used to, he'd have been in trouble. Again, so I just see a lot of storm damage out there.
Jim, on this one, on Creek Row, if we have a field inspection before the next meeting, let's just throw this one on the
Okay.
schedule.
Yep.
Just, I think mostly because we got a letter
Right.
asking us to consider it and look at it.
Yep.
It'd be a good idea to do that.
And I'll see what this is a construction site that has gone in spurts, start and stop, start and stop. Can't tell somebody to finish the project, but that's it.
The fellow that was downhill from that water, how long has he been there?
He's been there 10, 15 years, but the biggest problem when you go and look at his house, there is and I don't know what it's called. I call it a cypress tree. It's a deciduous evergreen. It's growing right between him and Shatinsky's, and the thing has clogged the old channel. Now the old channel is not built either for it. We've had this discussion it's been a decade now. And the roots filled up the system, and so what he did is instead of getting the tree out of it, he bypassed it with as in his description, a 12 to 14 inch pipe. 12 to 14 inch pipe wasn't gonna handle this. That I handled maybe a 1 inch storm occurrence. And of course it blew in his driveway again. And the worst part about it is he put the pipe in but didn't ask anybody about it, so now you got, my first reaction would have been no, double it. Do something. Because,
The reason I brought it up is that I believe he was, when that house first started construction, there wasn't a foundation yet, we had heavy rain. He got wiped out there. In fact, what happened, dirt, construction ended up in his yard.
Yeah. And that was again one of those 5-inch rains, and they had the erosion control up, they had everything, but the erosion control just isn't designed for this. Now the site should be established, so I'll take a look at it tomorrow. If it needs to be remediated, I'll get them on it right away, not wait for our field inspection.
Well, it needs more water breaks. If you go out west and hiking in, say, Northern California, Oregon, and Washington State, we have a lot of rain. Washington is more like in California at this point. Got heavy water breaks, because they have steep slopes, and rain.
Yeah.
That's what it needs. It needs a heavy water break, several of them.
Well,
It's gravity work.
prior to this gentleman constructing there was problems in that sluice way up before. So let's put it this way, I was out there looking at it when Earl Blanchard was Public Works Director. That was a long time ago, and there was no construction up there or anything, so
Yeah, it's a steep slope.
and it's got nowhere to go because the soil's ledgy. This is the final diagram of the property we looked at the corner of Station Lake Road and Daniel. Okay. So I went out there with the property owner and the tenant and got them to figure out that no, you can't build a pond in the middle of in the middle of it all, and that you gotta get it out of the direct discharge of the stormwater that's coming, otherwise it'll just spew sediment everywhere, so.
This is the farm ponds.
Yep. So they're gonna become seepage ponds, which will provide the cattle with adequate water. And
The orange candy cane shape there, what is that?
that's a steeper slope, so they're gonna cut a better access to it to get down to it. That, instead of just trying to traverse straight, so I do that on the plan.
So is their plan to, both these little ponds are gonna be the same size, different sizes?
Yeah, they're just gonna be, they're gonna keep, I said, total wetland disturbance, 2,500 square feet each. I said, total. I said, you need a little pocket here for the animals to go down in water. That's what you're looking for. Not a 3-acre pond. Don't get your equipment buried in it.
You know, I had a thought, because you guys didn't walk through there. I walked right through the
I've
middle,
been
Right.
through that before.
through the middle of that.
Yeah.
I don't know what he's trying to create there, but
Yeah.
if he's trying to create pasture, bad idea.
It's not gonna happen.
I mean, they really need to keep the animals up in the higher ground, grass, and they, if anything, ought to fence them out of that wetland area. But I don't believe we can tell them to do that, but I think a strong recommendation in that direction would be a good idea.
I've
It's a mess.
already made that recommendation.
Okay, good.
How did that, this existing storm water pipe do in the
It just roared.
ward?
It roared. It roared so hard because they also grabbed everything off of Bashan Road that it jumps the curb, not the curb, it jumps out of the catch basin and makes its way down Daniel Peck Road. Yeah, I mean, it's just, hydraulically, that's just too much.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, we always talked about all this time, and, I mean, you know, there's gonna be a point where it's gonna stop it. We're not gonna build things to the 100-year storm anymore. We're gonna start talking about the 200-year storm, because the 200-year storm is the 100-year storm. And that means that, you know, an 18-inch pipe might be 36, you know, and on and on and on and on. 'Cause everywhere we went, dropped down that bit. Yeah. And you know, when Roger Nevergut said, well, I've seen it fail 10 times in 10 years, you know?
This is a big improvement than what they had originally suggested. The green lines, Jim, what are those?
That's where I said they asked if they could trim, you know, and I said, well, it's outside of the wetland area. And don't be stumping it, but trim it out and clean it up. Yeah, you wanna extend the area there. I said, you know, fine, that's okay. You know, cause some of it was shading the field and all that stuff. And I said, but you know, I made him walk through. I said, come on, we'll go for a walk. And then, you know, and I said, we're sinking. We don't weigh 1,000 pounds. I said, there's nothing good that's gonna come out of this. So,
I think that you need to keep a,
very close eye on that.
yes,
Yes,
it's not a professional that's doing this
No.
now.
no. He just likes playing in big toys. He's very good with those big toys, but
Yeah.
unfortunately, he could bury it out there too.
Yeah, for sure.
That's why I said, stay out of there. You're not, and they haven't been able to work on it because obviously it's just been saturated, so.
I won't even go on our fields.
Yeah.
There's so much wet, even in some of the gravelly areas. It's bad.
And I had the same discussion this afternoon with two people about Palmer Martin Road and about the feasibility of the site and the inability of it. They both left the room very disappointed at me. So I'm a very bad man, you'll hear that. But the reality is that because you own 3 acres, you know, and I did tell them, I said, you need to get to talk to somebody independently about raising horses on property like this. Well, I said, your mother's invested in making you happy. I said, you need to talk to somebody else. They'll tell you the facts, just like I am. They're brutal. But, so,
They have horses,
they don't have them yet, so I said, don't be buying it.
they're gonna bury them there because of the broken leg.
That's exactly what I said, thank you. I said, you're not gonna like it, and I said, you're just gonna be very unhappy, and then you're gonna have an emotional attachment to the animal, and it's gonna just go downhill from there. So,
Plus, they don't break their legs, they're gonna get crushed. Then you got a big vet bill.
Do you have anything else?
the only thing is I have the stuff that, well, this one was Connecticut Federation of, part of the newsletters. And then Connecticut Association of Conservation and the Wetlands Commission have its annual meeting. I think I emailed that to you, but here's a hard copy. Managing for Changing Climate, 200-year storms.
What's Goodspeed gonna do? Have they talked to you at all?
About,
The poor brick building and,
they're keeping the brick building. They have hired a engineering firm to come up with a plan to shore up the wall along the river. Temporarily, you're gonna see right past our grinder pump, some large cement block put in place, and then they're gonna resurface the area between the road and that building. But the real problem is past that, there was a stone retaining wall there, that's gone, disappeared. And that one there, and that's been the problem everywhere, and that's kind of the same thing with Neptune Avenue. Someone said, well, why did it happen? It never happened before. Well, Randy, you and I can talk about it, is that when we used to, run up Old Smoky, it was all juniper and small stuff. Now it is full of oaks and maples and large woody vegetation. It breaks, it falls in the stream, it travels down, it clogs, and that's what happened to Goodspeed. It had
That's
large
right.
woody
I
vegetation
saw that, yeah,
underneath it, blocked up everything.
yeah.
This time, instead of jumping straight to Route 82, the first thing it did is it busted through the doors and windows of their thing. And that caused even a bigger complication, because then it busted the doors going out.
Yeah.
It made its way down the road, it dumped off to the road and cascaded over to the new housing units. It
Through there.
filled, because now it wasn't following the stream bed, it not only filled the yard, but it also filled the stormwater management area in their pervious pavement.
Pervious pavement.
So as much as they said the pervious pavement doesn't work as well as it wants to, it filled it so much that it not only filled that, but made it backwards into the buildings, because they all had
Yeah,
sump pumps,
So- yeah.
emergency sump pumps, made it backwards into it and filled, exceeded the capacity of the sump pumps, filled it to about 4 feet of water in some of them. Clear, clean water.
Did it plug up all the pervious pavement? Did it carry a lot of
There's a
sediment?
lot of sediment in there now.
Yeah.
There's a lot. And the poor girl that purchased, I call it the former Blasek house.
the big White House?
No, not the big white house, but the one right directly behind it. She had 5 feet of water in her basement from the storm occurrence. And
Which house was the one that had about three or 4 feet of foundation exposed?
That was the Lawton house on
Okay,
Goodspeed
yeah.
Opera House. Yeah, they poured a new footing at the base of that, reformed it up, because all the water
Yeah.
went rushing by.
Yeah.
So basically the stream that, when I got there the next morning, there were fish flopping in the road. It just sent it.
Do you think that when they removed the dam from that pond upstream?
Dam's back. They moved back again.
No, not that
No,
one.
no, not
The,
the
the one right,
Oh,
The one that blew
Right
out, the one that
past
blew
the-
out on
Boardman?
Boardman,
Yeah.
yeah.
that has brought more, did that kind of contain some of the flow before?
Doubt it. I
Okay.
this is just way too much.
I know.
Just all at once.
But it should have tempered it. That's known as the East Haddam Reservoir. That was a source of energy for it. Used to be 5 mills.
Ah,
And they dammed down, believe it or not, right along the road, foundation of a couple. But, in fact, the mill where that little trinket shop,
Yeah.
flower shop, that little shop is sitting on a mill that
right,
4 or 5 stories high, and 150 people working in it until it burned down. But you're right, I believe if the dam was there, it would have helped. How much it would help, I don't know, but it definitely would have helped.
to hold some of the water back,
Well,
to
some
let
of
it go
The problem really
slower.
was the woody vegetation.
It was the woody vegetation.
And some of it might
I
have
know, I
ended up-
saw big logs.
Oh,
It might have been their own from their own site. 'Cause
Yeah.
they had all those hemlocks, and the
Yeah.
hemlocks died, and then they went down.
Yeah.
And they didn't get cut up and cleaned up, and they slid down the hillside.
yeah.
Yeah, you can engineer
Okay.
all the piping in the world, but culvert piping is always susceptible to that. The thing is, you learn out west, you gotta clean the watersheds.
Well, I don't know,
Grass only.
I don't know if you're gonna talk about it, but that nice bridge over the 8 Mile River,
Yeah, they got moved.
it got moved.
Did it?
Yeah,
Yep.
Oh, I didn't know
moved
that.
the foot. It came real close to coming off. The steel.
Oh.
So they're repair, so I guess the Conservation Commission is repairing that.
Which bridge is that?
That's on the Patel property, that nice
Oh, the new
bridge?
one, the new one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yep,
That's up there then. That is up there.
yep.
Before
And
we,
bow the bridge has got a bow in it.
before we go to Todd's report, the town is working on the road going up to Consumers.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if you've seen how bad that road was.
6-foot ditch.
Here's my concern. Even when it was passable,
Yeah.
the way that road is being maintained, they're feeding silt into the stream. That's the upper reaches of the 8 Mile
It's
River.
cut too deep.
Well, there are some places where they're cutting, it kind of goes to Todd's point before about having these diversions, you know, on the steep slopes. They need to cut them off, cut the water off, or slow it down before it gets to the stream on the
Right.
bottom. And the town is not the best entity to be doing that. I understand Consumers actually offered to fix the road, and I know they would have done a better job.
Yeah.
But they're working on it, and we should
Okay.
keep an eye on that.
All right. Yep.
And to the extent that we can move that huge rock in terms of the Public Works Department, you know, to do the right thing on that road, they need to do it. But, I mean, since they're working on it now, they have the opportunity, because
Right.
that's gonna take a lot of work. Todd, report, Conservation Commission.
Yes, just a short report. As Rob told you last month, that they're about to start work on the bridge across the Hemlock Valley Brook, and they have started. That work. Try to get it done before it gets cold and frozen. Big bridge, a lot of work, but that's what we started work. And I don't know what happened, I don't think we're far enough along for any water damage on that bridge, but certainly the bridge and the patrol property. Not only did it move, but also acted as a dam for a moment because it bowed in the horizontal direction. Yeah.
And that had steel undercarriage, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, but the water went above the steel, and then you got the wood on top, the decking, and that bowed. So I told them we ought to put the bridge about another 4 feet higher. That didn't go over very well. Yeah, it's amazing, this is, this kind of thing happened in June. Plus the parking lot, Route 82, the small parking lot, that took a big washout as well.
Water coming off the highway.
Yep. So, I think somebody's got to, Army Corps of Engineers got to reassess their standards for 100-year, 200-year. Because 82 wasn't 100 years ago.
No.
No. Like 36 years ago.
Anything else?
That's it. That's all I have.
Thank you.
And my name is Todd Gelston. G-E-L-S-T-O-N. Thank you very much.
Anything else? Anyone have?
I move we adjourn?
Motion and second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.